Hey, what's up? This is Raycito. I know a lot of folks don't know me, but let me tell you who I am. I was a brother who was behind the rap scene for years. For those of you who are on the West Coast, you may know me, or you may know my work. I hear a lot of people I see a lot of people on TV like Sway. I used to work with him over at the Beat in LA at the radio station back in the mid '90s. Shirley Strawberry, who's on one of the whose show is she on? Shit, she's on Steve Harvey's show. They know me if you just ask them, or the Poetess who used to work at the Beat, or a lot of folks back then that used to work at the Beat. But more importantly, if you go back even further, I used to work on one of the top underground hip-hop stations back when hip-hop was real, called KUCR in Riverside, and I used to do a show called The Nigga You Love to Hate. And I'm still the nigga you love to hate, because I was always truthful on my shows. As a matter of fact, I did some groundbreaking shows back then. And only when we started mainstreaming hip-hop in the mid-'80s, that's when I felt hip-hop died. And then when the radio station that I was working on we helped mainstream it to #1 in the nation, I just said fuck it and walked away from it all. I moved away to the other side of the country and just left it all and said fuck it, I can't deal with this shit. It's ironic though that if you ask most real niggas out there what time, when was hip hop real, they go back to them days. We was giving out blood, sweat, and tears. But let me tell you that the stations didn't make me. See, I was raised in the jungle in LA. You seen Training Day? That was my old neighborhood on August Street. Shout out to my best friend Reggie, wherever you are. And before that, I lived in the projects in the Midwest before I was 11. I'm a something from nothing type. So none of that shit makes me. But I like to share some information because after living my life so far, I've learned quite a few things. Come a long ass way. Just recently I was asked to go and talk to a group of young black males from age 18 to 26. And I spoke to them at a college, one of the black colleges out here, but these weren't college-bound students. These were actually kids, young dudes, brothers who basically didn't even have their GEDs. Just trying to figure out, how do I get back on the road? And I talked to another set of folks one time, and the leader, or the person in charge of this program, she said, can you talk to these boys? And I had never really talked to no group of young black men, face to face in no group before in my life. But when you speak from the heart and you tell them some real shit, they were standing up, giving me damn near, clapping and shit, and said, that's real. So I'm going to share some of the lessons that I told them. On the last video, what I said was, stop feeling sorry if you're on the bottom. Just know that, something got to change. If you've been down the same road over and over again and you feel like, damn, something got to change, or maybe you got to going through some moment of fear, or maybe you going through some moment of just frustration, or maybe you just breaking down and you said, man, you know what, ain't nobody seeing what the hell is going on with me as a young black male. But what's real is I can't stand where I am right now. Said on the last video, what you got to do is take that serious moment and convert it into something that's positive. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you got to know your beat. And I explained that. Go back and listen to the other video before this. I said life is simple. When you really want to get somewhere, you got to know where the hell you're going. You go from A to B. Point A to point B. It's that simple. And every single morning you wake up and you ask yourself, what in the hell did I do today that had to do with getting me to my B? See, I wrote this up on the last video where I had a little sign and I said from A to B is the straightest line. A straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. Even in math they teach you that shit. But a lot of people in their life, older people, older black people, they start doing a lot of shit that's inconsistent with what they say they want. As a matter of fact, they end up doing shit like, instead of going from A to B, they start doing shit, end up over here on C and D and E and F and K. It's like, what the fuck that got to do with getting to your B? If that's what you say you want to do. That means you got no sense of direction, and you definitely don't have what we call discipline. You know, when I was in college, and I give myself some props on that, because I went from the projects, and I went from the jungle, and I went from a lot of different problems to actually entering college and not only getting a couple of bachelors and top awards and shit like that, and at the same time create my own little video show and getting on the top radio station behind the scenes, helping them run stuff that they didn't really know what the hell they was doing, because they didn't know how to talk to black folk. I will tell you a story, but I can't even tell you. They try to fire me on my second day because they considered me an enemy at this radio station called The Beat in LA. On my second day, I almost got fired. But I said, I want to do major market radio. And they said, you're too dangerous because we can't trust you because you're too black. You are too black. Well, okay. I admit it. I attacked them motherfuckers from my little smaller station when I was doing underground hip hop in Riverside. You know what our slogan was? We're blacker than you. We used to go at them motherfuckers. I went in there incognito, applied for a job and got hired, and they didn't even know it was Raycito. They hired me, and then when they figured out that I was Raycito, the Raycito that's been attacking them, they said, we got a problem, and marched my ass on down to the general manager's office. This is on my second motherfucking day at the Beat. And you know what they told me? We didn't know who we hired. You're destroying us on the sidelines because you say we're not black enough, because you say we aren't for black people, and we need to talk because we may have made a mistake. And so we danced around a little bit, and me trying to avoid being fired on my second day in my major market job. And the general manager just wasn't having it. He was like, no, I see what you about. No. And he had me cornered. And I'm not sure if you've seen that movie where Jack Nicholson says, you can't handle the truth. They asked me point blank, eye to eye, why did you attack us? And I said, fuck it, you're going to fire me anyway. Let me tell you the truth. And I was thinking that same moment, you can't handle the truth, can you? And they said, well, yes, we want to know. I said, because your theme of no color lines is some bullshit. You telling black folks to change up their ways to fix no color lines, when the truth is, it ain't us with the motherfucking color line problem. You should be telling them motherfucking racists out there to change shit. Motherfuckers that didn't go to jail back in the day when they had them civil rights goddamn protests, and they was throwing shit and blocking motherfuckers, while they was trying to integrate schools and shit like that. Think about the crowd. Them motherfuckers in the crowd was throwing shit and doing shit, nothing ever happened to them. It was miles of them motherfuckers. Where they at now? Who said they had to change shit? They didn't have to change shit. And back in the day, I used to listen to Cam and Ice Cube and all them motherfuckers, and they was keeping it real back then. Man, movies and shit now, I don't know, but back then they was just saying, fuck it, I'm gonna say what's on my heart and fuck you. Well, I'm still the nigga you love to hate. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. And I told him the truth that day. I said, yeah, I hit you with everything I had, because I was gonna stand up for something. And I told them about themselves to the point where the truth won out. And the general manager was a white dude, actually was a Jewish dude. He said, well, listen, he thought he paced that room. I'll never forget that shit. He paced that motherfucking room. And eventually he said, okay, all right, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you stay and work for this radio station, but you got to do for us what you did against us. You got to help us destroy these other folks, since you were so good at destroying us. That's how I fucking got the job at the Beat. I didn't get the job because they fucking liked me. But I had my beat in my mind. I wanted to change hip-hop. I wanted to mainstream hip-hop. And behind the scenes, I did that shit. And I was known to bring it to your doorstep. So, you might not know this, but if you go back and listen to the Live and Die in LA song, right before that song, there's a little clip that's saying he's talking about killing people. He's talking about sleeping with their wives and all that stuff. You got Tupac on that motherfucker, but right before that, that's, right before the Live and Die in LA, that's my old boss, and I used to produce her show. Her name was, I ain't even gonna say her name. But back then, I was trying to kill the East Coast versus West Coast war, rap war. And I was going after Biggie. And I was going after Pac. We did a show on racism, and I flipped the script on their ass. Black folks be talking all the time from the sidelines, talking about racism. I'm like, fuck this shit. What I'm gonna do, I want to be a producer. And I'm gonna bring this shit. You know what I did? It's funny now thinking about that shit. I went and got the Grand Dragon of the KKK and brought his ass on the fucking air. I said, now, talk to the motherfucking racists. This is at a black station. That's real shit. You want to talk about racism? Talk about it with the motherfucker in charge of this motherfucker. So they thought I was a little crazy, and they said he can't be in charge of the radio station because he too motherfucking black. I'll tell you some more shit pretty soon. But just know that I'm true to it. And for them young dudes out there, I told you the other day, I said you get yourself, when you start talking about a piggy bank, you get yourself a piggy bank. Something like this. Let's suppose it's a better job. You want to get yourself a better job. Get yourself a little container like this. And inside that motherfucker every single day, if you want to get to your B, you put some actions towards that B, and you crumple up a sheet of paper on something you actually did, and you put it in that fucking piggy bank, and you motherfucking do this. You keep on until eventually you start seeing some shit in your fucking piggy bank that you actually did. Not talk about it, be about it. Nigga, you got to get up, get out, and get something. Don't spend all your time trying to get high. Really though. Damn, I forgot some more shit I wanted to say. But you gotta have a change in your attitude too. You know, they used to have a commercial on TV that used to, there's some shit I learned, that had a glass of water where they said, and it was filled to the halfway mark. And they say, an announcer would come on and say, to the pessimist, this glass is half empty. And you look down on the glass from that angle that they were showing, and you'd be like Cat Williams, like, well, damn, my nigga, it is. It actually is.